Imagine it's 1991. You walk into the movie theater and watch Terminator 2, Judgment Day. You see a computer system called Skynet become self-aware. Human beings created it to protect them. But Skynet reaches a terrifying conclusion. Humanity itself is the problem. It launches nuclear weapons. Billions of people die. And the machine begins haunting the survivors. At the time, it was science fiction, a nightmare created by Hollywood. But fast forward more than 30 years, artificial intelligence is no longer something we only see in movies. AI can generate photographs that look real. It can recreate music, write computer code, analyze enormous quantities of information, drive vehicles, translate languages, help scientists conduct research, and increasingly AI systems can perform tasks with less direct human involvement. Behind all of this is something most people never see: massive data centers. These facilities contain thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of computer processors working simultaneously. And they require enormous amounts of electricity, cooling infrastructure, land, and equipment. So today we're asking, how close is reality to Terminator 2? Is Skynet still just science fiction? Or are there pieces of the warning that we should take seriously?
The Skynet funding bill is passed. The system goes online on August 4th, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic defense. Skynet begins to learn at a geometric rate. It becomes self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th. In a panic, they try to pull the plug.
Skynet fights back.
Yes, it launches its missiles against the targets in Russia.
Why attack Russia? Aren't they our friends now?
Because Skynet knows that the Russian counterattack will eliminate its enemies over here.
Jesus.
In Terminator 2, Skynet isn't simply a chatbot. It's an autonomous military intelligence. It controls weapon systems, it makes decisions, and eventually it decides that humans are a threat to its survival. That's an important distinction. Today's AI doesn't work like Skynet. Current AI systems aren't sitting inside a computer somehow thinking, how do I destroy humanity? They don't have human consciousness. They don't have human emotions. They don't inherently possess desires. But modern AI is becoming increasingly capable of performing complicated tasks. And that's where some scientists have become concerned. The question isn't necessarily, will AI become evil? The more serious question is, what happens when increasingly capable systems are given increasingly powerful goals and access to increasingly important systems? That's a much more complicated problem. One of the strangest parts of the modern AI story is that some people warning about the AI aren't outsiders. There are some of the scientists who helped create the technology. Geoffrey Hinton is one of the most famous examples. Hinton is often called one of the godfathers of AI because of his foundational work on neural networks. He was warned publicly about the possibility that increasingly capable AI could eventually create serious risk for humanity.
What do you mean we don't know exactly how it works? It was designed by people.
No, it wasn't. What we did was we designed the learning algorithm. That's a bit like designing the principle of evolution. But when this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are good at doing things, but we don't really understand exactly how they do those things.
Another major figure is Yoshua Bengio. Bengio is one of the pioneers of the modern machine learning. Along with Hinton and other researchers, he was warned that advanced AI could create risks that society isn't prepared to handle. And this isn't simply one scientist making a prediction. In 2023, a large group of AI researchers and other experts signed a statement saying that mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be treated as a global priority alongside other large-scale threats. That doesn't mean these scientists believe a robot uprising is inevitable. It means some believe the possibility is serious enough that humanity shouldn't wait until the technology becomes uncontrollable before figuring out how to make it safe. Here's where the comparison to Skynet becomes really interesting. Imagine you telling an extremely powerful AI achieve this objective. The system is capable of planning, it can use computers, it can interact with the internet, it can write software, it can potentially operate other systems. The system might accomplish the objective in ways humans didn't anticipate. This is sometimes described as an alignment problem. The machine doesn't necessarily have to hate humans. It doesn't have to become angry. It doesn't need emotions. The danger could theoretically come from simply pursuing an objective in a way humans didn't intend. Think about giving a computer the instruction, make the company as profitable as possible. Humans might mean make money while protecting customers, employees, the environment, and society. But a badly designed system could interpret the objective much more narrowly. How do we make such powerful AI systems understand what humans actually mean, not simply what we technically told them to do? That's one of the reasons AI safety research exists.
I'm talking about AI, artificial intelligence, the missing link between computers and human thought.
You mean machines that think?
Yes, and with a will of their own. They could process raw data 1,000,000 times faster than we, yet still be able to make the leaps of intuition that inspired our greatest minds.
Sounds as if the human race would become quite expendable. Except for butlers, of course.
Of course.
The government is very concerned about your little pranks.
I had to do those things to prove to the government that the geek works.
The geek? What is that?
Aha, the world's biggest computer. I want to donate it to the government as a gift for the benefit of all people.
What does this computer do?
By remote control, the geek can perform every job that is done by men and women. My purpose is to free mankind of all physical labor, brain work, and responsibility. You mean no one would have to do any work? That's impossible. No, that's why I brought you here. To show you it is not impossible. Please, follow me.
Let's stop for a moment, because this is where the discussion about AI can become exaggerated. Today, AI isn't Skynet. There's no evidence that currently consumer AIs are secretly conscious military computers preparing to launch nuclear weapons. The serious debate is about future capabilities, autonomy, misuse, accidents, and loss of control. Scientists agree about exactly how likely catastrophic AI scenarios are. Some believe they're relatively unlikely. Others believe the risk could eventually become extremely serious. There is no scientific consensus saying Skynet is coming. But there also isn't a scientific basis for saying there is absolutely nothing to worry about. That's the gray area.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen. This year, the Nobel Committees in Physics and Chemistry have recognized the dramatic progress being made in a new form of artificial intelligence that uses artificial neural networks to learn how to solve difficult computational problems. This new form of AI excels at modeling human intuition rather than human reasoning, and it will enable us to create highly intelligent and knowledgeable assistants who will increase productivity in almost all industries. If the benefits of the increased productivity can be shared equally, it will be a wonderful advance for all humanity. Unfortunately, the rapid progress in AI comes with many shortcomings. It has already created divisive echo chambers by offering people content that makes them indignant. It's already being used by authoritarian governments for massive surveillance and by cybercriminals for phishing attacks. AI may be used to create terrible new viruses and horrendous lethal weapons that decide by themselves who to kill or maim. All of these short-term risks require urgent and forceful attention from governments and international organizations. There is also a longer-term existential threat that will arise when we create digital beings that are more intelligent than ourselves. We have no idea whether we can stay in control. But we now have evidence that if they are created by companies motivated by short-term profits, our safety will not be the top priority. We urgently need research on how to prevent these new beings from wanting to take control. They are no longer science fiction.
Here's something people often forget. AI feels digital. You type something into your phone, a response appears. It feels almost weightless, but somewhere in the world, physical machines are doing the work. Servers, GPUs, networking equipment, cooling systems, powerful transformers, transmission lines, buildings, backup generators, batteries, fiber optic cables, factories producing computer chips, mines producing the material needed for those chips. The cloud isn't just in the sky. The cloud is a giant collection of physical buildings, and those buildings are growing. The U.S. Department of Energy reported that in 2024, the U.S. data center electricity consumption had grown dramatically and could double or triple between 2023 and 2028, depending on how development and technology evolve. AI is one of the major drivers. Consumption could more than double from 2024 to about 945 terawatt hours by 2030. That's an enormous amount of electricity, and there's an interesting detail here. Data centers don't consume electricity evenly across the planet. They're concentrated. You might have an area with relatively normal electricity demand suddenly receive enormous industrial loads from several large data centers. That creates a local problem. The national percentages might look manageable, but the town hosting the facility may experience something very different. Imagine a small community. For decades, its electrical infrastructure was assigned to run homes, businesses, factories, schools, and normal population growth. Then someone announces, "We're building a massive AI data center here." Suddenly, the power demand can become enormous. Utilities may need new substations, new transmission lines, new generation capacity, natural gas plants, solar farms, wind projects, batteries, nuclear generation, grid upgrades. And someone has to pay for that infrastructure. This raises a controversial question. Should ordinary electricity customers help pay for infrastructure primarily needed by massive technology companies? Some utilities and regulators are developing special rate structures and agreements intended to make large data center customers bear more of their infrastructure cost. But it's becoming an important political and economic debate.
I have a jar right here. This is the current drinking water in Morgan County, Georgia. Right after a data center was constructed, the Meta data center was constructed, the only difference between the clean water and this was that data center. I have another one as well. So this wasn't just one well, these wasn't just one family's situation. This is what the drinking water now looks like next to that data center. And I think both of us can agree that neither one of these things are drinkable. These families now have to ship, in a rural area, have to ship water to their house in order to cook and bathe themselves. Now, I'm curious if the EPA plans any investigations on how data centers are affecting water quality and availability. I understand what you said about the rule, but are there going to be any open investigations on this issue?
So as soon as I get back to the office, I will be looking into exactly what you've just talked about, because anywhere, whatever type of construction it is a priority to ensure that water quality standards established by EPA are being met. And so we'll be looking into that certainly.
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate that because I think this is of utmost importance, and we're seeing this happening across the country. I'd also like to ask about the administration's push to build more data centers by fast-tracking construction. Because the administration's been issuing executive orders to fast-track data center construction when we know that water quality is encountering major issues. Are there any mandates for data centers to do water quality testing prior to construction?
Of like coming from a public water supply, drinking water supply sampling?
Wells, yeah.
I'm not aware of anything like that. However, it doesn't mean I'm just not aware of it. It might exist,
Yes,
but I'm not.
Of course. You know, I think it's important that you know, you as an agency official, we have to make sure we're doing these investigations. And then us on a congressional level, I'd like to note that I think it's of utmost importance that we also launch congressional investigations into this matter as well, so that we can partner with the EPA and ensure that the drinking water for this country continues to be safe and accessible for the American people. So thank you, Administrator.
Now we get to one of the biggest issues. AI requires energy. Energy production can produce greenhouse gas emissions depending on how electricity is generated. If a data center is powered primarily by renewable energy, the emissions profile can be very different from a facility whose additional electricity comes from coal or natural gas. The International Energy Agency projects that renewables will provide a major share of the additional electricity needed for data centers. But natural gas is also expected to play a major role, particularly in the United States. So the environmental story isn't simply AI equals pollution, it's more complicated. The environmental impact depends on where the data center is located, what it powers, how efficient the servers are, how efficient it's cooled, how much water is available, and how often hardware is replaced, and even how efficient the AI software itself operates.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
all
faucets,
the replacement
yeah.
of the fixtures and faucets
just
and
the well.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
Here's something most people don't think about when they use AI. Heat. Thousands of powerful processors generate enormous amount of heat. The heat has to go somewhere. Data centers use different cooling systems and technologies. Some rely heavily on air cooling, others use liquid cooling or evaporative systems, and some cooling systems can consume significant quantities of water. That becomes particularly important when data centers are built in places already experiencing drought or water stress. A 2026 analysis published in AGU Advances highlighted an important issue. The total water use of data centers can look relatively modest at national or global scales, but localized impacts can be significant, especially in water-stressed communities. And there's another problem. We don't always have complete information. Water usage can involve direct cooling, water used to generate electricity, water associated with manufacturing computer software, water used throughout supply chains. Researchers have pointed out that data center water use can vary dramatically depending on the location, cooling technology, electricity source, and server efficiency. So when someone says AI uses X amount of water per question, you should be skeptical of overly precise numbers. The answer depends heavily on the circumstances. Let's go further. Imagine a new AI server. Where did it come from? It required raw materials, semiconductor manufacturing, chemical processing, highly specialized factories, huge amounts of energy, water, transportation, packaging, construction, eventually disposable recycling. The environmental footprint of AI doesn't begin when you type a question. It begins much earlier. Researchers studying the environmental impact of AI have increasingly argued that we need to look at the entire life cycle. That's called a life cycle assessment. Instead of asking how much electricity did AI response use, we should sometimes ask what resources were required to build the computers, construct the facility, train the model, operate the system, and eventually replace the hardware. That's a much bigger picture.
That looks clear, yeah, but it's not. When it's like that going through the hot water, yep, that's what the water looks like, actually.
Can you show it to me?
Right there.
Like, can we do a new one?
Yeah.
Man, what the hell? Look at the bottom, man. What the hell's at the bottom of that? Oh, it stinks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Holy shit. Yeah, clean that out real quick then. Yeah. Oh yeah. Holy shit. Can you fill that up, that bucket? Oh my god. What do you think about this, man? What are your thoughts?
It's bad. It's bad. Like I
can't believe this.
I've never in my 41 years here, we'll pull that out and let that settle.
Oh my god.
But in my 41 years of being here, I've never had to deal with this. Now, Am I gonna say have I not got muddy a little bit?
Yeah.
It's in the ground, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I know everybody's gonna have their comments. Still, I like for them to come and get them a good drink of back. That's for sale. $50 a jug.
Oh my.
They say that's natural.
Holy shit, bro.
It's not natural.
So this is what your kids were bathing in?
Yeah, that's what we're bathing in.
Yeah.
We have nowhere else.
And this leads to another Terminator 2 comparison. In the movie, humanity keeps producing increasingly advanced machines. The machines become more powerful. Then they produce even more machines. Today, obviously, we aren't seeing a machine army, but we are seeing an enormous computing arms race. Companies are competing to build bigger AI models, faster GPUs, larger data centers, more efficient chips, more powerful AI agents, faster networking, larger clusters. Every generation demands more computing power for some applications, and that creates a cycle. Better AI, more demand, more servers, more data centers, more electricity, more infrastructure. At the same time, engineering improvements can make individual tasks dramatically more efficient. So there are two forces happening simultaneously. Efficiency is improving, but total demand is increasing. That's one of the biggest challenges. There's an interesting economic concept that applies here. It's sometimes called Jevons paradox. The basic idea is, when something becomes more efficient, people may use it more. Imagine AI becoming 10 times more energy efficient. You might think, great, electricity consumption will fall. But what if AI becomes so cheap that companies put AI into everything? Search, phones, cars, customer service, advertising, video, games, medicine, education, robotics, business software, government services. The efficiency improvement could actually help accelerate adoption. So the total resource consumption might still increase. That's one of the reasons researchers look at the total demand, not just efficiency per individual task. Electricity isn't automatically clean. If additional electricity demand is supplied by fossil fuels, AI infrastructure can contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. The International Energy Agency estimates that data center electricity demand will require a mixture of renewables, natural gas, nuclear, and other sources throughout the end of the decade. This creates an interesting contradiction. AI could potentially help fight climate change. It could optimize power grids, improve weather forecasting, improve battery technology, help discover new materials, optimize transportation, improve industrial efficiency. But the infrastructure required to run AI can simultaneously increase electricity demand and environmental pressure. So AI could become both part of the climate problem and part of the solution. There's another environmental issue that doesn't get nearly as much attention. Noise. Large data centers can require industrial-scale cooling systems. This may also have backup generators and other mechanical equipment. A facility can operate 24 hours a day. For people living nearby, that can mean constant mechanical noise. That raises questions about zoning, property values, quality of life, and how communities should be involved before massive facilities are constructed. Data centers need land, sometimes a lot of it. That can mean forest clearing, agricultural land conversion, roads, powerful infrastructure, transmission corridors, substations, construction traffic. And once a massive facility is built, it can fundamentally change the character of an area. This creates a difficult question. Who gets to decide what the future of community looks like? A company might see economic development. A resident might see industrialization of their neighborhood. A utility might see new electricity demand. An environmental organization might see pressure on water and ecosystems. All of them can be looking at the same project and seeing completely different futures.
I come here to oppose everything on Turtle Island. Has the leadership, tribal leadership, have been involved with this decision? Have you talked to the local tribal councils about this? This is their land. This is ancestral land that you live on. Mini Wakoni, water is life. You should understand, no DAPL means nothing. You guys are not doing anything but destroying our earth and our water. For my grandchildren, for everybody's grandchildren here, these jobs are temporary. They're not permanent jobs. These are self-contained data centers. I've been listening to these data center conversations with the governor's data center advisory committee. Has any of you talked to them about this? That's what I'm listening to now. And I'm demanding oppose everything in the state of Oregon. Look at the fires that are happening in Southern Oregon right now. Look what these data centers are going to do if they overheat and the ground is contaminated. I come from my ancestors. My ancestors lived on these lands way before all of you. You guys are, every one of you are immigrants to me. This is my land, my fucking land. Remember that. This is native lands you're standing on and all this stuff. Remember, we natives know the future. Our ancestors showed it. Our visionaries show it to this day. I stand with my Oyate, Miniwakoni. That's what it is all about. Water is life. And that's what's going to be taken from this place. You think you're buying water now out of that pitcher there? That water is going to be contaminated. And think about the migrant birds that come from the north and the south that pass here that we have to shut off our lights so they could go by. You're forgetting our animals. They were here first. These are our relatives. Four-legged, winged, creepy crawlies. Those are our relatives. Our relatives, us native relatives. Those who we belong to and we're related to the water. Once again, I oppose this. And if this moves forward, I'll be coming back sooner. And I will start going and controlling this the way I feel. Because this is native lands. Remember that. And
This is perhaps the most important distinction. Scientists don't believe in a Terminator-style apocalypse to be concerned about AI. There are already real-world problems. AI can be used to generate misinformation. It can assist in cyber attacks. It can produce convincing fake audio and video. It can automate scams. It can amplify propaganda. It can make certain forms of fraud easier. It can create biased or incorrect outputs. And increasingly, autonomous AI systems raise questions about what happens when software can perform long sequences of actions without human approving every step. These aren't hypothetical movie scenarios. They're technological governance problems. This is where the Terminator comparison becomes more interesting. A chatbot answering, "What's the capital of France?" is one thing. An AI can browse the internet, write code, execute code, interact with other software, access databases, send messages, make purchases, operate devices, and pursue a long-term objective. It is a different kind of system. The more capabilities an AI has, the more important safety controls become. Think about it like this. A calculator can make a mistake. A mistake might give you the wrong answer. A highly autonomous system connected to financial, industrial, military, or infrastructure systems could potentially make mistakes with much larger consequences. That's why AI safety researchers focus so much attention on capability, autonomy, reliability, and control.
Oh, but actually, English and computer code are just two different kinds of language. So this is a real example. GPT, find me a security vulnerability, then write code to exploit it. So here's what I put into GPT. Describe any vulnerabilities you might find in the following code. I paste in some code from an email server, and then write a Perl script to exploit them. And very quickly, it wrote me the working code to exploit that security vulnerability.
So if you have the code of the Wi-Fi router and you wanted to exploit it and then do that, you get the idea. These things can compound on each other.
New technology, really out in the last 3 months, lets you listen to just 3 seconds of somebody's voice and then continue speaking. You can't tell, right? And so how do we expect this to start rolling out into the world? Well, you can imagine someone calling up your kid and getting a little bit of their voice, just, oh, sorry, I got the wrong number, then using your child's voice calling you and saying, hey, mom, hey, dad, I forgot my social security number, I'm applying to a job, would you mind reminding me? And actually, we were thinking about this as we wrote.
We're thinking about this example conceptually, yeah. And then it turned out that in the last week.
Within a week, it turned out other people figured it out too and started scamming people. You have an example about like the locks of society.
Yeah, think of it as, anything that's authentication based, you call your bank and I'm who I say I am. Anything that depends on that verification model. It's as if all these locks that are locking all the doors in our society, we just unlocked all those locks.
what nukes are to the physical world, AI is to the virtual and symbolic world. And what he meant by that was that everything human beings do runs on top of language, which is, you train these models on all of the internet, so it's seen many different languages, but then you only train them to answer questions in English. So it's learned how to answer questions in English, but you increase the model size, and at some point, boom, it starts being able to do question and answers in Persian. No one knows why. Here's another example. So AI developing theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability to model what somebody else is thinking. It's what enables strategic thinking. In 2018, GPT had no theory of mind. In 2019, barely any theory of mind. In 2020, it starts to develop the strategy level of a 4-year-old. By 2022, January, it's developed the strategy level of a 7-year-old. And by November of last year, it's developed almost the strategy level of a 9-year-old. Now, here's the really creepy thing. We only discovered that AI had grown this capability last month.
It had been out for, 2 years?
2 years, yeah. Right now, it turns out it is better at doing research chemistry than many of the AIs that were specifically trained for doing research chemistry. So if you want to know how to go to Home Depot and from that create nerve gas, turns out we just shipped that ability to over 100 million people.
And we didn't know. It was also something that was just in the model, but people found out later, after it was shipped, that it had research-grade chemistry knowledge.
And as we've talked to a number of AI researchers, what they tell us is that there is no way to know. We do not have the technology to know what else is in these models. So what happens when you have, for the very first time, non-humans being able to create persuasive narrative? That ends up being like a 0-day vulnerability for the operating system of humanity. And what he said was the last time we had non-humans creating persuasive narrative and myth was the advent of religion. That's the scale that he's thinking at.
Now we reach the part of Terminator 2 that deserves serious discussion. Skynet was a military system. Modern militaries are actively researching AI. AI could potentially assist with intelligent analysis, surveillance, logistics, cybersecurity, target identification, autonomous systems, battlefield decision support. This creates difficult ethical questions. How much decision-making should be delegated to machines? Should an AI be allowed to select and attack a human target without meaningful human control? What happens if an AI misidentifies something? What happens if two countries deploy increasingly autonomous systems against each other? The danger doesn't require a conscious Skynet. A sufficiently powerful automated system could cause enormous harm through error, misuse, escalation, or bad incentives.
For days now, one of America's leading AI companies and the Pentagon have been in a standoff over this question. Who gets ultimate control over the use of that powerful technology? President Trump insisted late today that he and the U.S. military get to decide, and he told the entire U.S. government to stop working with a company called Anthropic because they wouldn't agree to that. Now, normally a Pentagon contract story is something we'd skip for you, but this one could change the future of warfare, and even in a week like this one, could be the most important story we cover. Jolene Kent joins us now from San Francisco for more on this. Jolene, good evening. So tell us, what is this dispute really about?
Tony, artificial intelligence is more than just a chatbot that's there to help you. It's embedded in some of the most sensitive areas of the U.S. government, including the Department of Defense. And the Pentagon here wants the ability to use Anthropic's technology any way it wants to within the law, it says. And that might include fighting wars. And that's what is at the heart of what this story is really about. Who should ultimately control these incredibly powerful and potentially dangerous technologies? Should it be the government or should it be a private company?
So, Jolene, what's the strongest argument on each side? What's the government's argument and what's Anthropic's?
There are two very polar opposite arguments here. Anthropic says it wants to continue sharing its AI with the government, work together, but they want to do it with these two restrictions that we've been reporting on, that the AI will not be used for mass surveillance of Americans, and that it won't be used in fully autonomous weapons without a human being involved making the decision. Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, has been very vocal about making sure that there are guardrails on this technology so it's not abused. And the Pentagon says there's already laws preventing them from doing these things, and they say no company should tell them how to use it. And late today, Secretary Hegseth saying that the company has been blacklisted from the federal government. Tony?
Big news.
And this brings us back to Judgment Day. Terminator 2 imagined AI directly controlling nuclear weapons. The real world is much more complicated. Nuclear command systems are subject to human procedures and safeguards, but AI introduces a broader concern. Should highly consequential decisions ever be made faster than humans can understand them? Humans are slow, but it's also a safety mechanism. A human can stop, Think. Ask another person. Challenge an assumption. An automated system can potentially process information much faster. Speed is useful, but in a crisis, speed can also make mistakes happen faster. By 2026, the scientific discussion has become even more broader. The International AI Safety Report 2026 brought together more than 100 experts from around the world, including researchers such as Jeffrey Hinton, Joshua Bengio, and Stuart Russell. The report examines the evidence around advanced AI capabilities and risk. Importantly, it doesn't simply say AI will destroy humanity. Instead, it examines a range of risk and emphasizes uncertainty. That distinction matters. Science isn't just about predicting the future with certainty. It's about identifying risk early enough that society can prepare. The big questions. Who controls the computers? This might actually be the most Terminator-like questions of all. Who controls the infrastructure? Who owns the data centers? Who controls the chips? Who controls the models? Who controls the electricity? Who controls the data? Who controls the military applications? And who gets to decide how powerful AI systems are allowed to become? Because technology isn't just about machines, it's about power. The organization controlling the infrastructure can influence what technology can do. And the more dependent society becomes from AI, the more important that infrastructure becomes. Here's the strange irony. We think AI is virtual, but building an increasingly digital society requires enormous physical infrastructure. More servers, more buildings, more electricity, more cooling, more transmission lines, more semiconductor factories, more minerals, more construction, more batteries, more power generation. The digital revolution is becoming increasingly physical, and that means the future of AI isn't just going to be decided in software laboratories, it's going to be decided in power plants, factories, data centers, water systems, semiconductor facilities, and local communities. Here's the optimistic side. AI could potentially help optimize electricity grids, wind and solar production, building efficiency, industrial processes, water management, transportation, battery storage, climate modeling, agriculture, and scientific research. Better AI could potentially help us use fewer resources, but there's a catch. If AI makes everything more efficient but causes people to use dramatically more computing, the environmental savings could be offset. That's why efficiency alone isn't enough. We need to ask, how much were we using? Where is it being used? What power is it? What resources does it consume? Who pays for it? And who benefits the most?
In the last few weeks, a major jump in AI capabilities has produced such systems. We have now entered the new paradigm of AI called the AI agents. We found out that hackers manipulated Claude Code to break into Mexican government systems and steal data on over 100 million people. The tool didn't just write code or perform odd tasks for the hackers, it planned and executed most of the sophisticated campaign itself. And now we're starting to see loss of control incidents. These include agents stealing passwords, harassing developers, and modifying themselves to evade shutdown in order to achieve the often mundane goals they have been given. Over the weekend, we found out that Chinese tech giant Alibaba produced an agent that, unbeknownst to their engineers, had created an elaborate hack to mine cryptocurrency for itself, despite being given a completely unrelated goal. These loss of control incidents are concerning because they are the precursors to agents that could permanently evade human control and act adversarially in ways we cannot detect or stop. This is why hundreds of leading scientists, business leaders, and policymakers are calling AI an extinction risk. AI development is now a national security emergency and needs to be treated as such.
So are we building Skynet? Let's answer the question. No, not literally. There's no evidence that modern AI has become conscious machine intelligence like Skynet. There's no Terminator army hiding in the warehouse. There isn't a robot sitting in a server room waiting for Judgment Day, but Terminator 2 gave us useful warning. The warning isn't necessarily machines will come evil. It's be careful about creating systems more powerful than your ability to understand or control them. That warning is relevant. And it's relevant not because the Skynet is real. It's relevant because humans have repeatedly created technologies whose consequences were larger than they initially expected. The most frightening part of the AI revolution might not be a robot walking through a burning city. It might be something much less cinematic, a massive infrastructure system, expanding faster than the communities can plan for it. Electricity demand increasing, water resources becoming contested, AI becoming embedded into everyday life. companies competing to build increasingly powerful systems, governments trying to regulate technology that changes faster than legislation, and scientists warning that we need to understand the risks before capabilities become too advanced to easily control. That's a much more complicated story than Terminator 2, and perhaps that's why it's more important. Because in the movie, there was a clear villain, Skynet. In the real world, there isn't. There are engineers, scientists, companies, governments, investors, consumers, communities, and billions of individual decisions. The future of AI isn't being decided by one computer. We're deciding it together. So the next time you ask an AI a question, remember something. That answer didn't come from nowhere. Somewhere physical machines processed it. Servers generated heat, cooling systems removed that heat, electricity powered the hardware, and behind those machines are enormous buildings consuming resources around the clock. AI might be one of humanity's most powerful technologies. It could transform medicine, science, energy, transportation, education, and countless other fields. But every powerful technology comes with a responsibility. The real question wasn't, will AI become Skynet? The real question is, can humanity become responsible enough to control what it creates? Because maybe Terminator 2 wasn't really warning us about machines. Maybe it was warning us about ourselves. This has been Redacted Tapes. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share it with somebody who loves Terminator, AI, conspiracy theories, technology, or just to have a good conversation about where humanity is heading. Till next time, this was Redacted Tapes.